and welcome to your LSU football fix. My name is Preston Guy, staff writer at TigerBait.com. Got some good news for LSU today. John Emery coming back for the Tigers. Looking like you're going to have 6 backs now. Today, we're going to be joined by 2 guys I know pretty well at the Golden Boot podcast. These guys started a podcast about a year ago. Avid LSU fans, and they're great guys to talk to. I have Ant and Poughbear on tonight. We'll be kind of looking at, they updated the recruiting rankings as well. So going to kind of take a look at a few guys that moved up and my opinion of where they stand in the rankings and all that jazz. So, of course, we can't move further without thanking Tramonte's for making everything we do at the store possible. Remember, good meat ain't cheap. Cheap meat ain't good. So y'all go check them out at the corner of Jefferson and Airline behind Parkview Baptist. So we're going to hear from them real quick on an ad. And then I'm going to dive in. I'm going to let y'all know tonight's going to be a little more loose, less structured show. You know, I mean, there's less news going on. If you want to talk about something vague and ambiguous, let tonight be your night. I'll hear you out. So anyways, here's Tramonte's, and then we'll go right into it. Poughbear and Ant will be on. I asked them, they're podcast guys, so to them, talking for half an hour is nothing. I'll keep them on a little extra tonight. So if y'all have anything for me, Ant, Poughbear, go ahead and let me know. Put it in the comments.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramonte's.com.
And thank you, Tramonte's, for making everything we do possible. Mark Cumby, let's go. Let's go, Mark. Appreciate you for coming back as always. I think you're in this. You got to be in here every single week, man. Gary Williams, let's go. Let's go, Gary. All right, here's a funny comment from Toby Moore. Can Brian go help coach basketball as well? LOL. Did y'all see Brian Kelly actually went to, I think it was a gymnastics meet, and he showed up in a green shirt that might have looked like it was from Notre Dame, but it wasn't. It was just LSU kind of camo. It was kind of a cool sweater. It's been a rough start for Matt McMahon and the basketball team. Y'all know this is a football show. I get it, but it's a slow night. I don't cover the basketball team. I just consider myself a fan, okay? But I will comment as a fan of the LSU basketball team that the context to put on this is, what was the team that Matt McMahon inherited? I told people, I said, look, if he wins 3 SEC games next year, that's pretty darn good given what he was handed. He built it into something kind of special, so something that you kind of would expect to compete. So just, again, it's disappointing right now. Just put that perspective on it. Maybe the sky isn't falling. Oh, boy, D. Smith, I am not even touching that one. Projected baseball lineup. LSU baseball is loaded, but so is the SEC preseason number 1. You got to love it, man. I've met Jay Johnson a couple of times. He's a very nice, personable guy, man. Hard not to like him and what he's got going on. So this is the LSU football fix. So let's talk a little football. Big news of the day, probably week. It's going to be a bit of a slow time unless something unexpected happens. John Emery Jr. did not enter his name for the NFL draft. That's kind of what we were telling you last week with Mike and myself, hinting that, it's being considered, but we were pretty sure he would be back. That gives you now 6 deep at the running back spot. If you listened to my show all last year, or I say last year, earlier this year in 2022, you'll know that one of the biggest weaknesses I said for this team was lack of running back depth. The running back room was a problem. Not that the running backs were a problem necessarily, because there were some quality backs there. I don't think there was a Leonard Fournette in the lineup, and I don't think there ever was going to be. But, you only had 4 guys, and that's as many as Brian Kelly likes to use. So that margin was razor thin. And you saw at times Jaden Daniels had to kind of make up that margin. That's why after his sack-adjusted rushing yards were over 1,000 yards, I would definitely expect that next year Jaden Daniels' attempts running the ball are going to go down. Definitely expect that because you've got 6 guys you can turn to. You've got Noah Kane, you've got Josh Williams, you've got John Emery Jr., and then you bring in Trey Holly, and then you bring in Caleb Jackson. See, there's so many. I can't even name them off. Last year it was boom, 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 boom. And then Armoni Goodwin's going to come back, but God bless him. He's now blown his knee out back-to-back years. We'll see what he looks like, but you feel a lot better knowing that you've got 5 other guys to turn to. And, Josh Williams was banged up. Goodwin seriously hurt. You feel better knowing that you have other guys to turn to who aren't coming off injury. Even Caleb Jackson had a tweaked ankle. Let's see here. Does LSU not look for a portal running back now? I haven't seen the freshman running backs play. Do they bring enough to not get another back? Hey, Todd Harris, great question. The answer is no, they're not going to look for a portal back. If John Emery had gone pro, they absolutely would have. Here's the thing about Trey Holly and Caleb Jackson. You feel pretty good that both those guys are pretty legit backs. Caleb Jackson is a big, think about like Maurice Jones-Drew, or physically he looks very much so like Michael Ford, like almost to a T. Got those jacked arms. He probably has a longer stride and more speed, whereas Michael Ford might have been a little shiftier, a little quicker, so to speak. But I mean, that's a rock solid back. Trey Holly is more of a finesse kind of run around your guy, go for the find the hole kind of guy. And he is the LHSA all-time leading rusher now. So he's a smaller guy, 5'8", but you really like what you're getting in both those guys. Both those guys are highly recruited, top 15, 4-star backs. You feel good with those guys, right? So no, I don't think that you're necessarily going to bring in a portal back. I think LSU would have. Here, look, I'll entertain y'all a little with some baseball here. Here's what D. Smith says. There's your baseball lineup for the baseball heads in here. I know y'all are excited. Let's see here. And Ant, if you're ready, give me a thumbs up. I'll bring you back. I'll bring you on whenever you're ready. Ant is backstage. Gonna let tonight be a little more of a laissez-faire show. Howard sweepstakes to Oxford, but they might have another transfer quarterback coming in. Yeah, from my understanding, they're in really good position to bring in Walker Howard right now. We thought it was all TCU early, but Ole Miss is putting up a pretty good little fight for them. Man, that's kind of scary though. I'm gonna be honest. Walker Howard in that Ole Miss offense. Whoo, we'll see, man. That kind of sucks to see a kid who bleeds purple and gold like that. All right, I think I actually got both those guys backstage now. Are y'all ready to come on, guys? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up, Poughbear. All right, we're going to hear from Tramonte's. I'm going to bring those guys on.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
Thank you, Tramonte's, for making everything we do possible. And here they are, Ant and Poughbear of the Golden Boot Podcast. What's going on, fellas?
What's good, Preston? How you doing this evening?
Doing good. What about you, Ant?
Doing all right, man. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, thanks for both of y'all coming on. I only had a few more shows left in the year, and I know I had to bring y'all on this year. So glad y'all were able to come on and make this happen tonight. I'm glad, I didn't mess up the 2 people on the screen at the same time. This is actually the first time I've done more than one guest at a time. I've done 2 guests in one show, but not at the same time. So
I feel honored to be
hey,
the
look,
first.
Y'all would be the first duo I would bring on. The first duo I would ever think of. These guys.
We appreciate it. You did come in and throw that Tramonte's meat in our face. Big pause on that.
Oh, whoa, PG show, fellas.
I ain't gonna lie though, some of that sausage did look pretty good. Pause.
You know, they got like 30 kinds of sausage, and I didn't even know you can make sausage out of 30 animals.
They got duck sausage.
Yeah, they got duck sausage, man. They got if it's an animal, they probably got it ground up into a sausage ling, man. It's pretty wild. Look, it's just for the theatrics of it alone. Go check out that freezer. Tons of good stuff in there. It's an entertaining store. Anyways, all right, guys. John Emery's coming back. That means of your top offensive outputters, is that a word? I don't know. Who cares? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of your top 8 offensive yardage producers. Now, one of those is Garrett Nussmeier, which kind of shocked me that he's in there, but he had 800 yards passing this year. I mean, you're not really no turnover on the coaching staff. You bring back that much offensive talent. Guys, y'all ever seen this kind of continuity at LSU? I can't think of a year off the top of my head.
Nah, me neither.
No. Everybody likes to say 2018 is probably the closest I could think of.
You mean 2018 to 2019?
2018 to 2019, correct?
Yeah.
Because then you only lost Jerry Sullivan.
Right.
Most of your offense came back. You lost Devin White. And Greedy, if I'm not mistaken.
Greedy Williams, yep.
And other than that, everybody kind of returned with that mindset and was like, hey, this is it.
I'll go as far to say there's no one leaving this team who's as good as Devin White.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Were you going to say something there, Ant?
No, I was just going to say, but that 2018 team, I think you brought in way more than you lost. You know what I mean? I know you lost a lot in Devin White, but, you replaced Devin White with Patrick Queen pretty much in a sense. Mm-hmm. And then Greedy, you replaced him with Derek Stingley. You could argue you upgraded, losing Greedy and getting Stingley. So I think this team is about the closest in that because whatever we're losing, you could say we're replacing it in a sense, with an upgrade or with equal.
Now, look, on paper as well, you also lost Nick Brossette from that 2018 team, which I definitely Clyde was better than next year. But he was a 1,000-yard rusher, and he was your leading rusher in 2018.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. One thing that a lot of people don't look at, in the Florida game, I can't remember which linebacker went out, but Jacob Phillips had to come in. And he got abused a lot in that game. In the Alabama game, Devin White had to sit the first half, and Patrick Queen was getting abused. And then you flash forward a year, and Patrick Queen makes probably the biggest play, one of the biggest plays of that game, getting that interception right before half.
Arguably one of the biggest of the season, honestly.
Right. So a lot can change from one year to another. Patrick Queen ended up being as we know, a first rounder. First rounder, and the Saints should have drafted him, but that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that another day. If I were to have a show about my frustrations with the Saints, I'd never stop talking.
But to your point though about the running backs, our boy Blake from AYS put out a tweet earlier that said I think it was 2,468 out of 2,600 total rushing yards. Yep. From last year or back on and then that's unheard of, man. You know what I mean? All you lost was a third string quarterback, and kind of garbage time rushing and a few end arounds to Butte pretty much. So I feel like we're definitely gonna, like what you mentioned earlier about Jaden Daniels running less. I feel like we're definitely gonna have a better running back room to lean on this year with all that returning production and then two young talented freshmen.
I'm looking at it right now. The highest leading rusher to leave the team is Derek Davis with 57 yards on the season.
Wow.
I mean, so you've got Goodwin, 267, John Emery, 375, although he's right under 500. He had about 150 yards catching. If y'all remember in the Bama game, his receiving skills. Somehow with 500 yards, the dude had 8 touchdowns, which, man,
for the end zone.
Hey, those fantasy numbers, you know what I'm saying? That's a flex back right there. And Josh Williams 500, and of course Jaden Daniels the leading rusher with 800. It's kind of wild to me how many guys had more than 200 yards, but I mean, if you look at the stat sheet from Notre Dame as well, it's very similar to that. That's Brian Kelly Ball. That's him doing it what he wanted to do, whether he had the personnel or not to even do it. So now you throw in Trey Holly, who, as Von Bluesman mentions here, signed the number 1 running back in Louisiana. He broke Louisiana. He's talking about Trey Holly there.
Yeah, 10,000 yards.
I mean, that is insane. And his film is nice. He's a little guy. He's about 5'9", 5'8". So I really think if he were like 6'1" and a good 220, we'd be talking about a 5-star guy. But he gets a knock for his size. But I'm gonna be honest. I think Caleb Jackson is the more ready back, the higher ceiling back. I mean, he's got track speed. Yeah. I mean, he has won multiple like state meets and whatnot just for running the ball, and he is chiseled, man. I mean, he is every bit of 5'10", 205. Looks just like Michael Ford. So my question is, you got 6 backs here. They've all looked good in spurts. Who's LSU's leading rusher next year?
You muted, Pooh.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. Josh Williams.
Okay. I'd say that's kind of the safe one, not a limb.
I was about to say, is that a limb?
It's pretty.
I'm gonna say Josh Williams. But Emery's gonna lead you in receiving yards, and he's probably gonna be number 3 on the team in receiving yards.
Okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Armani Goodwin. I feel
that is interesting. That is a limb.
I feel like whenever he was healthy, he showed the most burst out of all of our backs last year, and like the most kind of home run ability out of all of our backs last year. And I feel like he brings something that we hadn't seen. I mean, Emery has that also, but we really didn't see. We saw that 150-yard run he had, but most of his came in the passing game. You mentioned the touchdown versus Bama, but was it Mississippi State? There was another game when he had a long pass. I think it was Florida, and he tried to hurdle the guy at the end zone and got tackled at the 1-yard line. But most of his explosive plays came in the pass game. So I think Goodwin is going to kind of, if he can stay healthy, I feel like he's going to be that explosive guy.
Hey, look, you got a shout out from the boss man here. Poughbear and Aaron, I love
it.
What's
up, Mr. Mike? How you doing, man?
I'll go ahead and throw this one out. Not enough room for Daniel's head on the stream, too. I said, look, man. Look, okay. I've never even had 2 guests at once. I feel like 4 is utter chaos, and I don't have that big money, and I can afford a Poughbear producer. You know what I mean? Like, it's just me pressing the buttons. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm trying my best.
Shout out to our guy, this old vet too. He's
yeah. Hold up, where's he at? He had a good comment I was about to put up there. Let's see this old vet. Here we go. He's straight up here for you. I mean, look,
that's our guy, man.
I'm just the dude pressing the buttons.
I need to holler at Rob Boudreaux though. Yeah, DM me, Rob. I need some of that. Yeah.
If you need some duck sausage, I can. Hold up now, Rob. Don't you undercut my sponsor now. You know how much Tramonte pays to get that message? Come on, dog.
Hey, man. Does Tramonte's have a 318 location?
No, Tramonte's doesn't have a 318. But they do have online stuff. They actually
they ship?
Yeah, they do ship. Believe it or not, they're actually on QVC. They actually do sell some meat on QVC. Wow. I blew my mind.
That's big time right there.
Me neither. Till I was talking to him one day. We were smoking a cigar, and he's like telling me about all his, how his business works. I'm like, dog, that's complicated.
Wow, man. QVC, yeah, that's big time right there, man.
You know what I mean? Look,
do they have a ladies like doing this with a glass case and it just rotating the different
look, my mental picture of it, I'm gonna be honest, I have not watched it once. I just imagine Lori Grenier right there talking about all the wild exotic I was gonna say sausages, but I'm like, y'all gonna hit me with a hard pause on that one. I can't go all there.
All the different types of game that you can get. Yeah, that's what she's just gonna be. You can.
Adam says Goodwin leading rusher. Look, I'm gonna cop out here. Okay, I'll say I think Jaden Daniels will be the leading rusher again next year, but I think it'll be
running back room. Out of the running back room.
Right, out of the running back room. Okay. I'll take John Emery, but that's with a preface. He's got to get those fumbles under control.
Yeah.
If he does not, I assume that there's been a ton of coaches who have lectured him every which way direction right on this, but I assume that'll be almost the sole focus on him coming into this season. Because I remember looking up at that UAB game. I mean, I think it was just maybe Goodwin and John Emery. Those were your only two backs. Or maybe it wasn't even Goodwin. Maybe Goodwin got hurt. It was like John Emery.
Goodwin was out, yeah.
No,
Goodwin
you know,
was out, and Josh
it was
Williams
Derek
was out.
Davis. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, Josh Williams, I know for sure, was out.
Yeah.
So, okay, it must have been Noah. Yeah, that's right. It was Noah Kane because he had 3 touchdowns. And John Emery. And I remember looking pregame at Mike. I was like, if I were to put a bet right now on if John Emery fumbles the ball or not with rainy weather, would you take it? And we were both like, nah, he's going to fumble. And he fumbled twice. So I'm, my hope is that they look into that one concern, but if they can address that one issue, I think he's your best back. It's just such a big issue that'll keep you off the field. And here's a little undertone, a little surprise. I bet you one of the freshman backs breaks in the lineup as like one of the top 2 guys rotating in there. Bold,
I think you see him on special teams a lot.
I think you see him on offensive teams a lot. I think they're both very good, and I think that you've got a lot of guys in that running back lineup returning off of injury, and I think that they're.
I think in spring they can both make. Well, Caleb Jackson coming off injury also.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're all enrolled for the spring. I
know Trey is.
Yeah, Trey Holly is. Caleb Jackson is not. And Caleb Jackson, I think it was a high ankle sprain.
Okay.
So those will bug you and those will slow you down. But it's not like you're gonna need a 3-month rehab from it. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll be fine.
I thought he broke his ankle or something like that.
It might be a broken ankle.
Ironically, broken ankles are easier to heal and work with than sprains.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I had a high ankle sprain my senior year, and I didn't play a position that necessarily needed me to move like that, but it's unbelievable how long that thing just lingers.
Yeah.
It just hurts forever.
I broke my ankle in 2021, and
damn it. I was really going to hope you said 08 against that one team in the playoffs, but
it didn't happen, but I was only like 6 weeks, and then I was like, back running and everything on it. So I think it didn't really linger after it healed. Like
so 6 weeks it's done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I would say that because I mean, for me, it hurt the entire season, and I've had a high ankle sprain in the preseason. So that was like 11 weeks or whatever. I mean, it hurt when we were in the playoffs, so my ankle was hurting. So I definitely could see that. Absolutely. All right. So with all this offensive talent returning, with all this defensive talent returning, with all this coaching staff returning, you've got a ton of continuity. Players will be stepping up in the roles. What are your expectations for this team next year?
And
my guy, 12 all.
Now, I do. Right now, I have to see what Bama does. I have to see what. I have to see what.
See, I'm not on the whole
honestly,
Bama's rolling over and dying either.
Bama's the only one I really think. Florida State's going to be your, in my opinion, Florida State's going to be your toughest competition. You get through that, you can roll.
Hot take.
So,
Florida State, the toughest competition. That's a hot take.
I don't think that's that hot of a take. I think Bama's the one where you're looking at, you're like, what? But
it's
I mean, there's a strong argument that Florida State's going to be better than Bama next year. I mean, honestly, if you're pulling for Bama, it's more or less blind faith in that you've seen Saban do this, like, a dozen times where he's not really bringing back much. And he's actually better than he was with the team bringing back a Heisman winner.
Yeah. Well, I think I think Saban is better whenever he doesn't have a Heisman caliber quarterback, because he can get the rest of his team to buy in more because they don't have that guy that can go save them on the other side of the ball. But as far as LSU next year, I say 10-2. I know we don't like to say it, but you're always gonna lose a game you're not supposed to lose.
Yeah.
Like this year, Texas A&M. You know what I mean? I feel like we're gonna have one of those games next year. But I mean, the schedule is pretty favorable. So if you can get past Florida State, then obviously the Bama hurdle. But other than that, I mean, there really isn't much. But I just feel like we're gonna lose. You're gonna lose one, in my opinion. You're gonna lose one of Florida State and Alabama, and then you're gonna drop a game you shouldn't drop, whether it's A&M or Ole Miss or somebody. You're gonna drop a game you shouldn't drop.
Yeah, but that's my question. Who on the schedule worries you, or
just them two?
Well, those two right now off the bat. Yeah, but I'll say this: depending on who Ole Miss's quarterback is, that how that can just wildly swing. You don't overlook State. I need
to see who that quarterback's gonna be. That's a lot of the factor with me. Like Florida, don't know who their quarterback's
exactly. It's a little too early.
I'm assuming it's Mertz. Don't know who Mississippi State's quarterback's gonna be. Don't know who Ole Miss quarterback's gonna be. So I mean, like, obviously Texas A&M is a team that a lot of people are going to talk about is going to be capable of upsetting LSU after what they did this year and the talent that they have.
Yeah.
And then we got to see how them and Petrino and Jimbo work out. They could be a team that could be kind of scary based on how those two mesh. So I mean, as of right now, I agree with you, Pooh. It's just Florida State and Alabama, but that could change.
So no KJ Jefferson. He's coming back to Arkansas. That doesn't scare you at all?
I mean, Browse is leaving, and Arkansas lost Odom, and they lost pretty much everyone off their defense. That's pretty good, except for McLaughlin. So I mean, not as much as Ole Miss with the right quarterback would scare me getting Pete Geauxlden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was weird seeing him tweet out a shark emoji instead of the elephant. Yeah. Like, you go down his Twitter feed, it's just like years of elephant, and then all of a sudden there's the shark emoji.
Yeah. I'll tell you a game that it worries me a little bit, but not necessarily for the upset. Army game.
Ooh, because the triple option.
The injuries, because for the low cut blocks and stuff, that worries me because that game sits right before Alabama.
Yeah, that schedule's weird next year. Yeah. Play Florida early.
You play Florida late.
I mean Arkansas early, Florida late.
Hey, question: does Florida State get a week 0 game again this year?
No.
I don't believe so.
I think that'll help. And remember, we talked about this on Twitter Spaces about whether that's an advantage. And I said it's roughly the same advantage of getting a bye week, which some people thought I was crazy. I was like, no, I mean, it's a warm-up game. You know what I mean? Like, you get to work out the kinks.
It's more beneficial.
Look, you watch that game. LSU had a lot of kinks to work out, and you should expect.
Other things like that, yeah.
Well, I mean, and you look at it's funny, this year LSU's going to have the most continuity we've seen in maybe 20 plus years. But last year it was the least continuity. Yeah. It was a whole new coaching staff. It was a whole new, everybody.
Roster.
It was a whole new team, and those guys had to learn to play with each other. This year, you're not really going to be dealing with that. You've got Aaron Anderson alone returning kicks. I mean, that's 2 turnovers, man.
Huge. Tennessee game, you know what I mean? Changes the whole dynamic.
You should be cleaner, but I would much rather have flip-flopped the Grambling and Florida State game. Get Grambling as a good week 1 over. Not to mention, you get a in-state school, kind of like the Southern game last year, where it's just a big deal for them. It's like, you get a big party week 1 on your campus. Yeah. I would have really liked to see those 2 flipped, but. We'll see. I mean, Florida State's going to be good. I'll say this: the other team you got to not write off here is Texas A&M. That quarterback Connor Wegman. He flashed some serious potential against LSU. You see why he was a 5-star guy. But of course, Texas A&M also has like a mass exodus of talent everywhere you look. I mean, Denver Harris is now playing for the other team in that game. So just just keep an eye out for those guys. So over under 10.5 was what I was going to ask y'all. Obviously, Ant, you're taking the under, and Pooh's going the over. I could have set that at 12. You're taking it over.
Well, all right. So you saying regular season over under 10.5, or
regular season over under?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well then, yeah, I would probably. I don't know. I'd probably put some money on both sides on that. I'd probably hedge my bet on that. But
yeah, I was about to say that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like right at that dartboard, 10.5 right now. I'll debate with myself all off season long, and I mean, wait till we see what the teams are going to look like. I mean, if Walker Howard goes to Ole Miss, that changes that dynamic a good bit.
Does it really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you think Walker Howard beats out Jackson Dart? No questions asked.
Nope, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if Jackson Dart beats out Walker Howard, that means he's pretty good. So,
what's good targeting?
I'm going to wait and see how things fall out, because a lot of these teams don't even have the quarterback. And we know how the post spring goes is, one guy loses a position battle, he'll transfer out to wherever. And, that can drastically swing. I mean, look at Joe Burrow. Yeah. How big was that of swing? And that was after the spring game, after he lost that. Kevin Castner, 11-1 or 12-0.
I'm with it, man. I mean, just look at Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels transfer changed the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Huge. I mean, Jaden Daniels had 4,000 yards this year, just about 37 something. I mean, you realize that out of nowhere, LSU picked up its second all-time leading offenser of yards produced.
That's crazy.
I mean, behind Joe Burrow, he's number one.
LSU fans always talk bad about the portal, but the portal gave you your top 2 offensive quarterback, his seasons ever.
And it gave you Danny Edlin. I'm just saying.
Who was a good quarterback. He was a good, not great quarterback. Okay.
That's true. There wasn't no portal, but still.
He was serviceable. Got targeting on the pod. What's up, Poughbear?
Let me ask you this. Is Danny Edlin the most underrated LSU quarterback that we've had? Because he wasn't bad.
Vanilla Vic.
He wasn't bad by any means, but people lump him in with some of the.
Yeah,
I'm
they
not
do
gonna
lump
mention
him in
any
with some
names.
pretty.
They just lump him in with some people that's like, nah, man, he ain't that.
Well, let's ask this: if a quarterback comes in this year, let's say Jaden Daniels throws for 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. It's a pretty solid stat line, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if Jaden Daniels threw for 3,500 yards, 27 and 7, I'd sign me up for that.
Yeah, which I think is right about. And it's 2 seasons obviously mixed in there, but another thing you got to consider with Danny Etling is it was it was the Ogeron era, but it was before they really got that. It was Ensminger without what's his name's playbook, Joe Brady's playbook.
Well, I'll
so
say
it's kind of a messy offense.
If Matt Canada didn't get meddled with, I think Danny Etling would have been pretty effective in that offense.
I thought Matt Canada ran a good offense. Of course, needs meddling out, needs to let him run a show. But I never thought that was a good fit for the SEC West.
Yeah. The motion, to me, if he could have did it without all of the motion in the offensive linemen and just motion something, the receivers and that, I feel like it would have been more successful. But some of that moving offensive linemen 3 times before you snap was gimmicky to me.
Listen, I get that. Alabama was confused.
It did, and look,
we couldn't execute, but Alabama was confused.
I mean, a little bit of that was that they ran new looks for that game, though. Like they ran Darrell Williams, a Wildcat. Remember that? Yeah. And it worked. So they were doing some new weird stuff, and I get it. My thing I didn't like about the system is it was highly predicated on getting your running back off to the outside with making linebackers take a misstep to get to the outside. And in the SEC, there was just a lot of 3-4 defenses where these outside linebackers were absolute freaks.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like outrunning Barkevius Mingo even with a misstep.
That dude right there, that made him in a lab somewhere, man.
Yeah. Well, I saw who's that running back from Oregon? Not Kenyon Barner.
LaMichael James.
LaMichael James. I think he got inducted to the Hall of Fame this week, and all I can think of whenever I see that name is a defensive lineman caught him from behind. You know what I mean? Isn't that kind of wild?
I seen Barkevius in the 400 meter, like step by step with a guy who got a track scholarship in the 400 meters. So that guy right there was a different animal athletically.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna thank some sponsors real quick, and we're gonna kind of dive into a little bit of recruiting. You know, they updated the On3 recruiting rankings today. That'll be their final update. The other services will follow suit soon enough, but it's always interesting to see, you know, the final landing spot of these guys and see the guys who were criminally underrated finally get, you know, some justice. But we'll talk about
overrated.
Yeah, or well, not many of LSU's guys dropped in the rankings. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you see a guy drop. Yeah, also, Arch Manning dropped. He dropped 2 spots, but
he dropped like his ID, huh?
He 2 IDs he dropped in 1 week. He dropped 2 spots. Hey, look, you know, you got to wonder if he has a fumbling problem after losing 2 IDs in 1 week. You know what I mean?
Issues.
Character issues.
He's not responsible.
Can you trust him with the playbook? I'm just
all right.
asking.
Hold up. Did either of y'all ever lose y'all student IDs? Come on now, character issues.
No, I've lost now. Granted, I've lost a whole wallet.
Yeah.
On the field.
That was on the field. That was different.
I'll say this: in high school, I probably lost about 53 student IDs. Okay, like,
that's crazy, brother.
but okay, back then you didn't have a wallet. You had to wear it around your neck like you're a dog wearing a collar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I would assume when Archibald Manning has a wallet that he could put his student ID in. I'm just wondering if you could trust him with the playbook if he can't even keep up with an ID.
Ooh, wow. Hey, hopefully they won't pull a Mike Leach on him and like, here, give Arch the fake playbook and let him drop it next to the locker room over there. Anyways, all right, let's hear from some sponsors real quick, guys. I'll be right back. So we got Alumni Hall, guys. Y'all know where I'm shopping with all my leftover Christmas money. I'm heading to Alumni Hall. All my friends and family, LSU fans, shop there because it's the easiest one-stop shop for all your LSU needs and goods. Guys, I've described this to you 1,000 times. It's really like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory for an LSU fan. All sorts of stuff you need. They've got the bowl game victory t-shirts out there now, so go check them out. They got apparel, hats, drinkware, wall art, you name it, they've got it. They've got cornhole. They've got, rotating spinning light signs. I mean, all the goods there. Remember, LSU students, faculty, and military all get 10% off in store. And if you earn cash back, and you can earn cash back with their Hall Pass rewards. Go check out Alumni Hall in Perkins Row or shop anytime at alumnihall.com. Alumni Hall, the ultimate LSU Tiger shopping experience. Let's also hear from our title sponsor, Tramonte's.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
Thank you, Tramonte's, for making everything we do possible. Also, thank you to Ant and Poughbear for staying on extra long tonight to chill up with us. Hey, guys, I usually get plugs at the end of the show. Can y'all tell everybody what y'all do, where they can follow you, how they can support the Golden Boot?
Go ahead, Pooh.
You can go catch us at on YouTube at the Golden Boot. It's GEAUXLDEN Boot BOOT. Find us on YouTube. We talk LSU primarily, but we also cover HBCU sports. Big conversation tomorrow night. We'll be talking about Ed Reed and the whole situation, and also be talking about gymnastics finding its way to HBCUs as well. So, but biggest thing, go over to our YouTube, follow us there. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So, hey, there you go.
Do y'all talk about gymnastics or just Livy Dunn? Let's be honest.
No.
HBCU gymnastics.
We talk.
Yo, that is some wild stuff she's been dealing with, man.
Yeah,
with all these Utah students harassing her and stuff. It's like, and she's injured right now, right? Doesn't she have a torn labrum?
Honestly, I don't keep up with it. I do know that the LSU women had a great meet over the weekend. They didn't win, but they scored well. So kudos to them, especially when they had some injuries and stuff like that. So,
all right, quick question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. I was going to
Go,
say,
no, you go.
Is that Woodward's next big hire? A gymnastics coach?
Unless he's gonna go get the woman from Oklahoma, I don't know how you like.
Because LSU has been second place or third place for the last few years, and
it's pretty
Dee
successful sport too. They sell out.
So Dee Bro has
yeah,
she did an amazing
dropped
job
off a little bit
left.
since Dee Bro. Yeah, and I'm not following it as tightly as some do, but they definitely were. I mean, they were like national finalists. It's just they couldn't get it done on that Final Four stage.
Right.
It's either her or softball, I believe.
Beth Tarina, I don't know, man. That was like the one good hire of Joe Oliva.
That is true, but Scott, you know how he is.
He likes his guys. He likes his people in place.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Beth Tarina would have to struggle a lot more. I mean,
I agree. I don't think neither one of the coaches are going to be replaced soon. But I'm just saying, if we're saying who will be the next, I think softball has got to be up there.
Yeah, and guys, get your comments in if y'all want to chat up about something here. And like I said, this is we're in the slow off season here. We're right before that signing day, that final signing day, where LSU will probably add a guy or two, and it's after the season, so not much news. So if y'all want to just chat up about something like Chance Babin here, LSU needs depth at linebacker, and especially after what's the guy's name?
No, you talking about Demario Tolan.
Demario Tolan.
Oh,
Demario Tolan was the heir apparent for that linebacker stock.
Yes.
Shockingly, goes to Auburn, and you talk about NIL money. Literally, that's the only thing that makes even sense for that, because he had a starting spot lined up.
That was he was one of my favorite, outside of course Harold Perkins, but he was one of my favorite freshman linebackers. With what he showed. So my complaints with this recruiting class has been, I like my recruiting classes to reflect the football team. You put those 25 guys or whatever out there, you should be able to field a football team. I'm talking 3 or 4 linebackers, 5 or 6 defensive linemen, 5 offensive linemen. You came close in most spots. You big check marks. You got a quarterback. You signed 4 offensive linemen, which is okay because you're bringing back the entire starting offensive line. It's okay to take one guy away. Linebacker, you signed 2. You got Whit Weeks, younger brother of West Weeks. Okay, and then Christian Braithwaite, who, both of those guys. Weeks is one of the guys who really rised in the rankings today. He was like a 3-star, but he shot up the rankings. Christian Braithwaite is a guy who's kind of a fringe 4-star. Neither one of these guys are, super highly recruited guys. I would have liked to see an extra body there. Also, you didn't sign a defensive tackle. Not one out of the recruiting class. You went heavy on the transfer portal there, and I don't think that's necessarily a foundation for success. But, yeah, you need a linebacker now, don't you?
I agree. I'd take 2 at this point.
I think you need a transfer portal backer, too.
Yeah.
Demoy, because Chili asked about it a little bit earlier, do you guys feel like LSU goes after Demoy Kennedy? Yes. Go get him.
I talked to him when he was a recruit, too. He loved that. He told me LSU was the front runner in the recruiting process.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And LSU was the front runner, but things kind of slowed down. That recruiting class for Ogeron actually kind of filled up. Remember, they processed Jalen Lee, and they processed who's the kid who just transferred to Florida?
Cameron Jackson.
Cameron Jackson, right? And they ended up having scholarships for both those guys. There was no reason to process them, so they thought they were going to get some late big 5-star guys, and then they had a couple decommitments anyway. So it just it was a messy situation.
There's also a linebacker from Oregon State that I wouldn't mind LSU looking at. I think it's a plug and play type of guy, because I think they need, even if they get Kennedy, I think they need another one.
I think they could use 1 or 2. Yeah,
I want Kennedy for selfish reasons.
I know you got to have a 251 guy on the team, Pooh. I know.
Listen, there has, and people think I'm joking. I'm not sure about 58. I doubt it happened in 58. But in modern times, every national championship LSU team has had one guy from the 251.
Is 251? Is that in that northern Alabama?
Area. No, that's Mobile area, Gulf Coast.
Mobile area. Okay. All right. Hey, is there another 2.5 wide guy on the roster? I haven't done this research.
We lost Little.
We had one. Desmond Little transferred.
I'm back, Desmond.
Oh, yeah. See, that's a guy who hurts too, by the way, transferring out now. I'd say when he transferred, it wasn't a big deal. But now that Tolan's out, it's like, ooh. Now, let's be clear. I'm not taking a shot at West Weeks either.
Oh, no.
If he has to be the guy, I mean, he'll be the guy, and I think LSU will be just fine. It's just you don't really have much depth, and then you're going to rely on 2 true freshmen to come in. I have some questions about if all these edge rushers they're bringing in. I was questioning. I was like, I wonder if one of them slides inside. Ogie Agofu, the guy from Texas.
Okie.
Yeah, okay. Okie Agofu, right?
You're a brave man. I wasn't trying.
Look, you tried.
I'm probably going to have to send this guy a letter to his family apologizing for butchering his name. But I did talk to some Texas folk. I did talk to my Texas folk, and they were really high on him. They were really upset to see him go. I mean, he had 53 tackles in 2 seasons, real strong. But he's got a lighter frame. He's like 6'3", 220. Can he stand up and play some linebacker? He's definitely got the measurables for it. I think we're going to see some position shifting. Maybe Dylan Carpenter. Remember I said there's no defensive tackle sign. Dylan Carpenter has a great frame. One of the I mean, criminally underrated in this recruiting process. He was a beast for Santa Ma. I could see him beefing up 30, 40 pounds and sliding inside. I could. Now, I don't know if that's the plan or not. We all have to speculate at this point because that's all we got.
I think they was going to try to do that with Reed, the kid that they lost to Auburn.
Correct.
Yeah, I Darren Reed, you talking about?
Yeah, I believe they were going to try to do that with him, slide him inside. But, ultimately he didn't land with us. So they kind of put the staff in a tough spot, trying to just kind of search for people. That's why I believe they went so hard in the transfer portal. And I mean, a guy like Jaden Lee, bringing him back, I think is good. Kind of what we saw last year, Brian Kelly do in the portal, and bring some of those Louisiana guys who didn't get a chance to play for LSU back home.
Let's get some comments here. Let's see here. Chance Babin says losing your military ID is the worst.
Oh, don't get me started.
Oh, yeah. What you know about that?
Listen.
I thought you didn't lose IDs.
I didn't. I lost wallets. And I've seen people lose IDs. You have to go before. You have to explain as a grown person to someone else why you lost your ID. A lot of times they make you write up why you lost it and what are you going to do to improve on it. So yeah, Chance is right. That's a headache in itself. They make you feel bad about it.
LSU running back room more stacked than 2022 receiver room. I'm not going to say that necessarily. Nah. I mean, the 2022 receiver room ended up being a little disappointing because Butte didn't really perform the way you wanted.
Are we talking talent level or production?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think there's an argument the 2022 room had more talent. I see where you're going with this because, I mean, there was more talent in that receiver room, no doubt. But I would say production will be the running back room.
I would hope so.
None of the receiver. I mean, Malik Neighbors had a great season, 1,000 yards. I think Malik Neighbors is on track for a huge season next year. But, I mean, your third leading receiver was Mason Taylor. And then your second leading receiver is Butte, who had that disappointing season you're talking about. Yeah. So, I mean, Jeray Jenkins had 400 yards. Brian Thomas, 361. It was just spread a little too thin.
Yeah, but Jeray led you in touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
Let me see here.
I believe so. I think he had like 8.
Yeah, Jeray Jenkins had 6. That's
6.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you could kind of see something similar in the running back room this year, where you don't have the 1,000-yard rusher, but you have 2 guys with 600 yards, 1 guy with 400 yards, 1 guy with 2. You know what I mean? And it's kind of spread around just like that wide receiver room was last year. Just because you don't have that one Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis,
number one
true number one back type of guy as of right now.
Right.
one of the best running backs we've had, Clyde. They were predicting that he was going to end up being third string.
That's
Like,
fair.
John
That's
Emery's
fair.
going to come in. He's going to take over.
That's fair.
I was one of them. I thought
Davis,
John Emery was going to be the truth. I thought really he was going to come in and be a beast year one.
Yeah, and Clyde set all kinds of records. And
Yeah, he did.
First one to rush for over 100 on Bama.
And that's literally one of the most heroic performances you've ever seen as an LSU player.
To be fair though, Leonard Fournette was the starting running back there.
That is unbelievable. That will win you any trivia question at the bar. You know what I mean? Who was LSU's starting running back to start the 2019 season? Fournette. What? Yeah, Leonard. Unbelievable. Targeting on the pod says, didn't Dart get benched? Luke Altmaier played, but when he hurt? Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I think Dart was
LSU. I think he got hurt versus LSU. Honestly,
yeah.
And then they just ultimately benched him a little later after that.
Yeah. Let me say this. So they're also looking at the OK State guy to
Spencer
maybe transfer.
Sanders.
Why is Lane Kiffin looking at all these transfer portal quarterbacks if he had that much faith in Jackson Dart?
That's a fair point.
That's why I said what I said about Walker Howard changing things. Because I get the paper of okay, you've got a returning starter and then you've got a freshman coming in. But at the same time,
he lost Luke Altmaier though. Luke Altmaier transferred.
Yeah, but I mean,
so who does he have behind Jackson Dart?
I don't know. Honestly,
so,
I don't have their depth chart memorized like that.
I got you. It could just be I need a depth guy who can play if I need him to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, there it is. Dart was injured mid-season. Okay, so yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I think he got a minor injury or something like that. But my point is that you're not shopping around all these highly coveted transfer portal guys if you have that. And look, Dart's a young guy. He'll be a sophomore next year.
Yeah.
So why would you be shopping around high-profile guys like that and convincing them to come, by the way? That's another thing, is not just wanting them. It's convincing them they have a shot. Why would Walker Howard leave LSU's quarterback room where he was buried but young and had a chance, right? And then join another one just to be buried again? That doesn't click for me. Yeah. Here's your boy Chili saying LSU should go after him, the linebacker from Alabama. Yeah, Demoy Kennedy. Yeah, I'd love it. I mean, he's a beast, man. That'd be really good. Oh, all right. Wait. We got a good question here. See, I was going to go down the recruits here, but we got good questions coming. Starting corners. That's a messy question, isn't it?
Are we going 3 corners or 2 corners?
You can throw on a nickel.
It's
kind of a safety net in case you say something dumb. You know what I mean? Well, I had it as a nickel. You know. I'm gonna
say, depending on his health, I don't know what Seven Banks' health is.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna include him because I don't know if he's gonna be healthy. I'm gonna say Deuce, Chestnut, Denver Harris, and Zy Alexander.
Yeah, I've heard Zy Alexander good things about him too. What you got, Poughbear?
I'm not gonna stray away from that. I want to say something different, but I think that's what I have to roll with.
So I had Taviano as a starter a while back ago, but they've brought in so many good transfer portal guys since then.
I see him more at safety.
That's kind of what I'm thinking now, especially because they're targeting these pure corners. I think they're gonna push him to safety. But so now, I mean, I'm gonna go from having straight up Taviano in there to, I mean, yeah, I think your number one guy is gonna be Denver Harris. And I think Zy Alexander, I mean, I've talked to some people, around about him and scouting reports on him. He was a stud for Southeastern. And it's always kind of you rolling the die to see if these guys from the FCS level can translate to that SEC level. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. But I do expect him. I mean, look at his measurables, man. He's 6'3", 185. I mean, yeah, he's good. I expect good things out of J.K. Johnson, the Ohio State. I mean, you understand he was a top 50 recruit.
I forgot about him.
And he played well at Ohio State when he was out there. I mean, he started a few games as a freshman. I mean, Don't forget about him. But I get where you're saying with Deuce Chestnut. He's the more established, proven quantity.
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Johnson he's got long arms and a long frame. I mean, he's 6'1", 175. I could see them beefing him up because y'all saw what the strength and conditioning program did after year one. I could see a guy like him blossoming, you know?
Speaking of that, somebody came on our shows, our first guest, and said it was going to take a couple years.
No. You still need to hold off before you completely judge it. You still need to hold. I mean, look. I told you it depends on what Walker Howard looks like in 3 years, but I guess that's out the window now. But yeah, I mean, see what you can build upon these guys. What is Zalance Hurd look like in a few years? What does Will Campbell look like before he leaves? I still want to see that. But I mean, as far as you can judge year one, it's A+, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't give him anything but an A+. So I mean, I definitely I'm just saying, you know, wait until you see, because strength and conditioning is something you build years upon.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you this about the corners. Where do you see the Terrence Welch fitting in?
Boy, that's tough. LaTerrence Welch got injured a ton for Acadiana. So my father-in-law was the Acadiana play-by-play guy for like 20 years. So he's never missed a snap of football for them. And he was telling me that you might want to hold off on him for a while. He's more of a developmental high-talent guy, but just hold off on him. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a red shirt. I haven't seen him play in person or anything like that, but just don't, based on what other people have told me, don't be surprised. I mean, especially, you know how many DBs you're bringing in this year. My God, dude. You got Denver Harris coming in, Zy Alexander, J.K. Johnson, Deuce Chestnut. You got Taviano coming in, Jeremiah Hughes, who I think is a little more like game one ready.
Yes,
I mean,
sir. I
you
think
realize
he
was an All-American.
Max Prep All-American.
Max Prep All-American, right.
As a quote-unquote 3-star.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's criminally on. I think he's one of the guys I have on my list that on 3 bumped up a little bit today.
That should.
Which, I mean, if you look at the film don't lie.
Yeah. I think the only reason he was a 3-star was he switched positions from receiver to corner, and then he tore his ACL. So I think it was part of not having a lot of film and camp tape and stuff like that at corner, and then coming off injury. But he definitely showed this year. I think we had 6 interceptions. I think 3 pick sixes or 2 pick sixes, something like that.
I was going to say a bunch of pick sixes in there too.
So he's definitely showed he's more than just a 3-star.
But like, we haven't even talked about guys like Kylan Jackson from Zachary.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good players that will bury other good players.
Ashton Stamps didn't get talked about a lot.
Ashton Stamps, I mean, it's like, and he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. You know, he could play a bunch of defensive back positions. So
Ryan Yates and Michael Doherty, like, we got so many DBs.
I don't be surprised if you're looking back in a few years and the players you're bringing in this year, the defensive backfield, if this is like an all-timer class. Not predicting that. I'm just telling you, don't be surprised if that happens, because they got a lot of guys who are, I mean, seriously talented at defensive back right now. It's pretty wild. So, I mean, we could see all sorts of DB combinations. So, huge kudos to Brian Kelly for knowing that was a need that was coming up and filling that need in a big way. Because, I mean, they're losing a bunch of guys, but good thing Greg Brooks is coming back. Talked to him a couple weeks ago.
And Major Burns.
And look, you know what was interesting about Major Burns coming back is also huge too. So, I mean, that's your 2 safeties right there. Even though Major Burns started at nickel this year for the most part, when I had Greg Brooks on my show, they say the plan is he's going to be your free, and Greg Brooks will play your strong. And what really stood out to me talking to Greg was he said the plan was he was one and done. He wasn't going to stick around. And he said after that Ole Miss win and in the bye week, Coach Kelly took him from, all right, business as usual, last 4 games, to, nah, I'm going to come back. I mean, that's a big deal because, I mean, we've seen LSU get decimated by attrition over the years. And the portal don't make it easier. Portal don't make it easier. Let's see. Do we have any good were you talking about Spates? Now, Jamel Howard is a high school recruit they're going after, the defensive tackle from Chicago. Yeah. I think that's a big deal to get him. He's one of the highest defensive tackles left on the board that hadn't signed yet. Yeah, they're going to go for him pretty hard. Now, look, Chance Babin talking about Jackson Howard. First off, another guy. It's one of those guys that's just wild how certain services will have you so high and others will be like, well, you know, maybe low 4-star. Let's see here. All right, so today, On3 updated their rankings, and you got Deshaun Womack, who just earned his 5th star.
Well
but he didn't have it before. Also, Zalance Hurd moved up to their number 11 prospect.
Yes, sir. 318, baby.
318. Hey, look, man, the 318's got them corn-fed boys. You know what I mean? Like, they do produce some good offensive linemen up there because, I mean, you got back-to-back years, Will Campbell, Lance Hurd.
Shout out Neville High School.
What's wild to me is there's 7 guys coming in. I believe it's 7. It might be 6. But anyways, there's 7 guys coming in who at one point during their recruiting process, one service ranked them at least 5 stars at one point. You want me to name them? Here, 1 second.
I would say if I was going, I was going to see if I.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so
I'll pull up my tweet while you do it because I did.
Lance Hurd. I know it's Lance Hurd.
Mm-hmm.
Both receivers, Sheldon Sampson and Jalen Brown.
There you go.
Womack.
There you go.
Toviano.
There you go.
That's 5. How many did
Big
you say
hint, transfer portal counts 2.
Okay, so Denver Harris. How many did you say there were? 7?
Hold on, I'm pulling the tweet up right now. That's 7. That's right.
So I
7.
got one more.
Here we go. Got it.
7 Banks? No, he's not in this
7
class.
Banks.
He's not in this class. J.K. Johnson?
Nope. He was close though. Actually J.K. Johnson. He might have been 5-star at one point. I got to check his like trend line.
Who else did we get?
You're missing one. It's gonna kill you. It's in the transfer portal.
I said Denver Harris.
You already said Denver Harris. That's right.
Right. Who else did we get in the portal? J.K. Deuce. J.K. Johnson.
Mm-mm. You about to empty out the portal with missing this guy. Poughbear, you got one?
No, right. I ain't gonna even try.
I'm gonna give it to you. It's Aaron Anderson.
Oh my God!
I know. I told you. I was like, this is a name you're not gonna forgive yourself for missing. It's Aaron Anderson. Yeah,
I missed that one. Yeah.
Which, by the way, Aaron Anderson's a great example of
why you don't trash the kid.
In this day and age, especially. Don't trash talk a kid who was a finalist and picked another school because a year later he might be right back on your campus. I remember a lot of people because, you know, when he was committed to LSU, he was a 3-star, and then he commits to Bama, gets reevaluated 5-star. But, you know, a lot of people were out there saying, well, why is he 5-star now all of a sudden because he committed? I was like, he was 5-star all along. I saw that dude. He was a beast. All right. He basically beat Catholic High by himself. He was a monster. But that's why you don't trash talk him, because in a couple years that kid might remember, well, that fan base thinks I'm a 3-star anyway, so I don't want to go back to them. Let's see here.
Now I'll tell you somebody I'm going to keep giving that slander to.
Who is that?
Oh, Archibald. He can keep getting that slander.
Let's talk about him. We teased him early on. Let me preface this by saying I don't dislike the kid.
No.
Me neither.
I think he'll be great. I think he has the pedigree to be a great NFL player. I do think that he's getting too much credit right now. He has not shown enough to be considered the number 1 or even number 3 player.
I agree.
In the nation.
Yeah.
If we were talking about state, I can maybe argue that.
I don't fault the kid because he didn't ask to be ranked that high or anything like that. You know, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. Football. Yeah. He just wants to be, you know, a senior in high school or whatever, you know. So I don't fault him, but I do believe, like Pooh said, that he's getting propped up because of his last name and because of the pedigree that they expect that he will inherit or whatever. But I'm not gonna say he's not gonna be a good quarterback, even college quarterback.
So,
All I'm gonna say is I haven't seen enough from him so far through high school for me to say that he deserves to be ranked where he's ranked.
I've seen all three of the guys in state in person multiple times. Okay, Eli Holstein, I've seen Ricky Collins a bunch of times, and I've saw Arch Manning probably more than all the others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Arch Manning's a solid quarterback, but he does not throw the underneath passes with the zip you expect from a guy of that caliber. It's a little bit more lofty, okay? And in watching him in even 7-7, which is, you're supposed to show out in 7-on-7, he would sail receivers a good bit downfield. So understand I'm using the highest level of scrutiny because he's one of the highest rated recruits in the history of the recruiting rankings. And he just did not live up to that. Now, I thought he was about the 12th best quarterback in the country. In fact, I walked away from Ricky Collins and walked to Arch Manning, and they were equal in my books. I was like, Ricky Collins throws the better underneath stuff, and he's got, he can move around way better than Arch can. Arch had a little bit better size. Arch threw, mid-range over the top stuff a little bit better. Maybe had a little bit quicker of a release, but it's not like a great release either. I mean, Ricky Collins' release reminded me a lot of Jordan Jefferson's, and please don't think I'm bashing the player compared. First of all, Jordan Jefferson did do some good stuff for LSU, but
just kind of long release,
long arm, throws his back shoulder into it a little bit. But you couldn't tell me, you take the names off the back of their jerseys and you couldn't really tell me that one was for sure better than the other. Yeah. And then I think Eli Holstein is by far more talent than either guy, but I think Holstein doesn't have the intangibles like either.
He's a little more erratic.
I know Ricky Collins has the intangibles. I think he has the best intangibles in the state. And you weren't going to take Holstein anyways because, Walker Howard and Holstein, they kind of had their thing going. And Arch Manning wasn't coming because of Walker Howard either, by the way, because their dads were friends. And, they didn't want them playing together in college. Well, then Walker Howard heads out and all those plans.
It is what it is.
It goes awry anyway. So, again, no one's hating on Arch Manning. It's just let's give the kid a fair rating. You can't tell me. And I think the kid Nico, hold up.
Yeah.
I am a Lieva. Okay, this is gonna be like the new tongue of Iloa that we have to all learn how to pronounce. I think that dude is got a rocket on him. I think I think they got it right with him. I think you look at this quarterback class. Dante Harris was really good.
Dante Moore.
I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for getting me on that. Yeah, Dante Moore was really good from what it looked like. I mean, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in this class.
The kid going to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. He's another one I've watched.
Jackson Arnold, I think.
Jackson Arnold, you got it right. Yeah, and he's a 5-star guy as well. It's a strong quarterback class, and I thought it was a little bit of a. You really think Arch Manning's better than do you really think it was a little fluffed up? I think for probably for clicks, if we're being honest, because I mean, number one recruit Arch Manning probably sells a little bit better than,
of course.
than highly rated 4-star Walker. Arch Man. I can't even remember all these guys' names. I get twisted up, man. We talk about too many names on here, and I get a little mixed up. All right, I'm gonna thank a couple sponsors before we close out the show here tonight. Of course, I got to thank Celebrity Theaters with locations in Baton Rouge, Broussard, and the hometown of Ant. Oh, a little bit off to the side from Ant, Ruston. Guys, remember, Celebrity Theaters is Louisiana's only locally owned theater chain, so you're promised to have better service, better prices, and a more clean, comfortable environment. Every location features those comfortable, reclining leather chairs. I don't go to a movie unless I'm in one of them, first world problems. But y'all make sure to check out their weekly savings. Monday night, senior savings night. Tuesday night is Bargain Tuesday. Wednesday night, half price arcade and college night. They do corporate events, so y'all make sure to go check them out for that. Remember, you can email them events@celebritytheaters.com. theaters.com for your next birthday party or corporate event. Of course, we can't move forward without thanking our title sponsor for the final time of the evening, Tramonte's Meat and Seafood.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
Thank you, Tramontes, for making everything we do possible. To wrap up the guys moving up today, Cameron Pimpton is now in the top 100 on 3. He was 3-star, and I'm telling you, that kid's a freak, man. I mean, big offensive weapon. Jalen Brown moved up to number 79, which he was a 5-star at some point during his recruiting process, but I don't know what he did to lose it. But
committed to LSU.
Yeah, there you go, right? Ricky Collins was a 3-star with on 3. That's a big miss. They finally bumped him up. And now he's a consensus 4-star with everybody. Dylan Carpenter got his first 4th star from anybody.
Hey, good.
Moved up to number 288 overall. 4-star player, well deserving. That was another thing. Like, dude, are you kidding me? Sometimes these guys come on late. And then, of course, we mentioned Zalance Hurd moved up to number 11. Somehow Rivals and ESPN don't have that guy. How can one service have him at number 11 and the others are like, yeah, he's a 4-star? You know, Rivals and ESPN did not.
They don't come up here.
Yeah, right, exactly. But on the recruiting trail today, I know Brian Kelly was off across Baton Rouge talking to a bunch of Baton Rouge schools. Frank Wilson was hitting up New Orleans. And watch out for Jamel Howard, the Chicago defensive tackle. I think that's a guy they're going to push for because, remember, they didn't get a defensive tackle in the class. Guys, who's your most underrated guy in this recruiting class?
We already mentioned him once, but Jeremiah Hughes.
Jeremiah Hughes is your most underrated. That's a good one.
Since that's Poughbear's, I'll switch. I'll go on the other side of the ball. Kyle Parker.
That's a good one, dude. He put up a big stat sheet up there in Lovejoy, Texas this year. I mean, monster numbers. I think he actually, in one game, he was like 3rd all time in single season receiving yards in Texas history.
He had like 200 and some yards.
It was like his first game of the year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So monster, but of course he's 5'10" and doesn't have the measurables that other guys have. This receiving class they're bringing in is right there with the DBs, by the way.
Man. That kid can play.
Tons of good receivers they're bringing in. What about you, Poughbear?
Oh, it was Jeremiah Hughes. Yeah, definitely.
Jeremiah
definitely
Hughes. All right, you get a cop out answer for me then, since we already blew our guy early in the show.
I think him, possibly even Ashton Stamps. Like I said, we mentioned him a little bit earlier as well. He doesn't get mentioned a lot, but I think he's also one of those guys who doesn't get the fanfare, but he's been battle tested and looks good.
Yeah.
See, mine, I might need to find a cop out. It was Dylan Carpenter for sure, because I mean, in the consensus, he's still 570 overall.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Which, by the way, 570 means, like, if that projects to the NFL, he's not even getting a sniff at like practice squad, because they don't sign 500 players a year.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, but I'm gonna do my cop out, even though this has been rectified a good bit. Cameron Pimpton, look at that film. Yeah. Tell me he's a 3-star, and I will never care about anything else you say about film again.
I said this before, and I stand by it. He has the skill set. His skill set reminds me of Arik Gilbert. Just the skill set.
I hope his, above the shoulder skill set is a little better than Arik Gilbert.
I got another one too. For the offensive line, DJ Chester.
Oh, dude, that's a good one. He's not too. I mean, he's pretty highly recruited. Let's see, 130 overall.
He's 130. Okay, I thought
130. Yeah, that's solid. No, this offensive line class. I think. Let's see. You got him. Obviously, you got Zalance Hurd. Across the board, he's number 28 overall.
Okay, well, yeah,
that's the consensus. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a little better than that, but hey, I'm not going to complain. I mean, let's see here. You got DJ Chester.
What's that in Bengal?
Tyree Adams at 189. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Is he the lowest?
No, there's one more. I'm trying to find.
Paul Mbenga.
But Paul, yeah, yeah. If you got his last name right, kudos on you, Binga. Yeah, he's 548 overall, but he's a developmental guy. Yeah. Shout out Buford, Georgia, the most weird LSU pipeline ever. Hey. I don't understand it. And guys, at recruiting events, I've literally asked, like, is there an administrator or something like that? Like,
I know the connection, but I'm gonna keep it quiet because that's our secret weapon.
Oh, is it? Okay, all right. So there is a connection. That's the first. I've snooped around a good bit, and
it's a small connection. It's a small connection, but there's.
Is it like the barber at the local haircutting shop or something like that?
Nah, it ain't that. It ain't that minute. You know.
Oh, it's not that good, huh? All right. No, that guy was. Hold on now. It's not minute at all. That barber was doing some work.
It's a little more solid than the barber, bro. But yeah.
All right. I got you. But yeah, no, I mean. He's more of a developmental guy. But I mean, look at that. I mean, 6'4", 280, you take that, you take that every time because good measurables. But I think maybe a little bit underrated, but all four of the guys, I'm not like super mad about their recruiting rankings. I think they're relatively fair. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all stopping on and staying on for so long. It was cool, man. I didn't even notice how much time has passed.
Hey, no problem. Hey, time flies when you're having fun.
Hey, it's just like the damn Twitter spaces where you look up and it's like, oh, bro, it's 1 a.m. What's going on here?
Hey, quick question.
What's question.
Up? All the advice we gave you about first-time fatherhood.
Yeah.
How true do
hold
you
up now.
it?
A lot of it really played very true, man.
I told you. Well, you were told. You were warned.
No, it was good advice. I look back, on those days when I didn't have a little baby nagging on me to, not go for a walk and do Twitter Spaces. I kind of wish I could have those days back, but it's a little busier now. But no, a lot of the parenting advice was spot on, man. Hold up, which one of y'all told me the bed in the hospital will be your worst night of sleep ever? Was that y'all? You know what?
Yeah.
Everybody's taking most spot on take I've ever heard. I none of us have ever had a take that good in the sporting world. None of us.
I think we all said you weren't gonna get any sleep that night.
Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. I've never slept so poorly in my life. I went home from the hospital and we still couldn't sleep because he was waking up every 2 hours or whatever. Mm-hmm. Look, man. I don't know how dudes like don't take off after having a kid, man. It would have been physically impossible for me to go work, but I appreciate all y'all. It was always fun talking about the kid, but yeah, man, he's doing good now. 12 weeks old.
Oh, man.
We're having to line up daycare and all that stuff, and the wife's having to go back to work now. So big transition. This is probably the most unfun part, was actually dropping him off to strangers to have them watch him. But anyways, appreciate y'all guys. Hey,
soon you're gonna be like, oh yeah, you can come get him. You can come. He's
just so little, man. He's like the size of a football. He doesn't even know where he's at or why. He barely knows who we are, and then to be trusted with anybody, it's just wild. It feels wrong. It feels like part of my soul's ripped away from my body, but whatever. It's neither here nor there.
Wait till you get that first blowout.
Oh, dog. You think the first one hadn't arrived?
Oh no, you ain't seen nothing.
I got some inappropriate stories. I'm not telling them here, man.
That baby not teething yet. Just wait till that baby starts.
Wait till real food blowout happens.
Oh no, I'm not looking forward to that one right now, man. He's exclusively breastfed.
Throw the whole outfit away.
Wait till he start teething. You're gonna really see what a blowout is.
Oh no. Hey guys, tell all the good people where they can follow you again, because they might have not tuned in halfway through the show.
You got this one in?
Yeah, man. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok now, the Golden Boot. We'll go live on Thursdays and Sundays talking LSU, Saints, and all your Louisiana sports. And then on Wednesday nights, we do HBCU Our Focus, and on HBCU Sports, Swag Miak. I know all that good, good stuff. So tomorrow night we'll be doing that, and then Thursday you can catch us 7:30 talking LSU.
There it is. Guys, make sure to go give them a follow. And just like you do for our show, hit that subscribe, hit that bell, keep up with all the good stuff. I appreciate both y'all for coming on tonight, guys.
I appreciate you, brother. Have a good one, man.
All right, y'all take it easy. That was Ant and Poughbear of the Golden Boot. Man, they did a whole show with me. Appreciate those guys. They're always good to talk to. You know, you can go with a diverse field of subjects with those two. So, guys, going to wrap up the show here. Appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We just hit 17,000 subscribers, making us one of the fastest growing LSU YouTube channels out there. So appreciate all y'all and y'all's constant support, comments, super chats, all that good stuff. I got 2 more shows left for the year, and then I'm wrapping it up for the off season because y'all don't want to hear me talk about football in the middle of June, July. Well, y'all all focused on Disney World anyway. So we'll be back in August after that. So y'all make sure, if y'all want to keep up with me during the off season, make sure y'all go follow me on Twitter at pguy_77 or Preston Guy TigerBait on Facebook. You can keep up with me there. But make sure to hit that like button on the video, share this with your friends, all that good stuff to make the algorithm gods happy with what we're doing. I appreciate all y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening.